WTMJ Milwaukee.
It's 10:01. I'm Greg Mansick, and this is your news for 10 o'clock. It's 70 degrees here, on our way up to 78. From the WTMJ Breaking Newsroom, Milwaukee police searching for a hit-and-run driver who crashed into a school bus on the city's northwest side. Happened this morning about 7 o'clock near 76th and Carmen. Police say a car blew a stop sign, then ran into a school bus, causing the bus to crash into a house, a fence, and a gas meter. No children were on the bus. No one was injured in the crash. The investigation is ongoing. A man is in custody after allegedly threatening to blow up the Wisconsin Capitol building.
The alleged incident happened the night of September 22nd, when a Madison police report indicates a man called 911 and threatened to blow up the Capitol building. When police arrived near University in Brey, he continued making threats and was taken into custody. The arrest comes as the state legislature met earlier this year under increased security following an uptick in political attacks across the country. The suspect has not been charged, but remains in custody under accusations of making terrorist threats and a parole violation. Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth tells hundreds of military officials that there will be an end to politically correct leadership in the U.S. military. Hegseth also said that promotion guidelines will be based on merit. CBS's Nancy Cortez spoke to President Trump as he was leaving to also speak to those officials.
He also made a point of telling us that if he speaks to any military officials at Quantico that he doesn't like, he is going to fire them on the spot. So a bit of a mixed message from the president here, who is making a very serious threat, which indicates that perhaps he is planning on having some kind of one-on-one meeting with these officials or group meetings.
Secretary Hegseth also announced new directives for troops that include gender-neutral or male-level standards for physical fitness. Meanwhile, tensions on the rise in Washington as the clock ticks down to a government shutdown. Democrats and Republicans in Congress unable to find an agreement, even as thousands of federal workers stand to be furloughed or laid off. The government will shut down at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday if the Senate does not pass a House measure that would extend federal funding for 7 weeks. Senate Democrats say they won't vote for it unless Republicans include an extension of expiring health care benefits, among other demands. President Trump and fellow Republicans are refusing to negotiate. And the Caledonia Plan Commission approving rezoning plans for a proposed data center. Microsoft hopes to build a facility on 244 acres near Douglas Avenue and County Line Road. Representatives from Microsoft speaking last week to the Caledonia Village Board.
There's no design yet for this data center. This is very beginning stages of our application process.
If approved, this would be Microsoft's third data center in Racine County. Caledonia Village Board plans to discuss the proposal at its October 14th meeting. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Some mixed results here this morning with the Dow off about 100 points at 46,218. NASDAQ up about 15 points at 22,602. And the S&P 500 bouncing back and forth, currently 2 points in the red at 66.59. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Financial planning at every level. For details, visit annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 10:05.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
You know when that big online store has special days with ridiculously low prices?
Yeah?
Why doesn't Hasselus Mattress do that?
We do.
You do? When?
Every day.
Okay, good one. But really, when are the big discounts?
Like I said, every day. You know our showrooms are employee-free.
So I can give your mattresses a try?
With no pushy sales guy.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that allows us to sell Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, and more for way less.
Give me numbers.
Our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Free next-day delivery, too.
And you do this every day?
Yeah. Plus, through Monday, get a free box spring with every Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, and more, or take an equal amount off an adjustable base.
Wow.
So I guess you could say now is a prime time to buy.
I see what you did there.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at Hasselus.com.
Glass shower doors are beautiful, but the way they used to make them doesn't allow for them to stay looking beautiful for long. And that's because hard water, heat, humidity, and even soap can corrode standard shower glass. But our newest product, ShowerGuard Glass, is different. Its patented technology permanently seals the glass surface against discoloration and corrosion. And with regular cleaning, your new ShowerGuard glass is going to look new for years to come. So if that old glass shower door of yours is ready to go, give me a call about ShowerGuard glass. Now, you can't find this product everywhere, but you can find it at Less's Glass. And with over 30 years of experience installing glass shower doors, you can take our word for it. It lives up to its billing. This is Stacy Sinks with Less's Glass Service. If it's a new glass shower door, fogged or broken insulated glass replacement, or affordable glass and mirror home decor that you've been looking for, you just can't pass on Less's Glass. Less's Glass Service, serving all of southeastern Wisconsin. Find us at lessglassservice.com.
Time for WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all sports desk. The Major League Baseball playoffs begin today. 4 games on the schedule, including the Cubs and Padres. A 2 o'clock start from Wrigley Field. Winner of that wild card series takes on the Brewers in the NLDS. Week 4 of the NFL season comes to a close with the Dolphins holding on to beat the Jets 27-21. The Broncos ease past the Bengals 28-3. Packers will take on the Bengals in Week 6 of the NFL season. Taking a look at your roads, the WTMJ Time Saver traffic update. 4145 northbound, about a half mile beyond Capitol Drive, or right off the ramp. The right shoulder is blocked due to a crash. It's off to the side of the road, not impeding traffic all that much. A little bit of Gapers delay coming back on the southbound side. Delays on the southbound side, you're on it, the brakes right around Silver Spring or so through the construction area. Things seem to free up by the time you get to about Burleigh. Northbound delays begin just after Watertown Plank, and a lane consolidation makes it a little bit slow through North Avenue. You should be back to normal speeds shortly after that. Beautiful conditions continue here throughout the day. Sunny, beautiful, a high of 82 degrees. Some clouds tonight, a low of 56. Wednesday, partly cloudy and a high of 77. Back into the 80s for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 87, the high on Friday. Right now in Ashippun at 69 degrees. Appleton, 68. 68 in Antigo, and 70 at the Avenue. I'm Greg Matzik. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 10:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Kristin Brey.
Oh, that's our cue. Kristin Brey, thanks for picking up my...
Look who's back.
I am back. Wasn't feeling well yesterday, so thanks for covering
Better
for
than
me.
ever.
I'm back better than... I feel good today, which is a good thing. A little weak, I think, is how I would describe myself. But we're not weak on content, and sitting right across from us is a very smart guy, legal expert, Jim Santel, former U.S. attorney in southeastern Wisconsin.
What an introduction. The expectations are very high this morning.
Now
apparently.
they're raised.
He's our walking
exactly.
legal encyclopedia.
I've got to go do some research before I talk further. Then
I know you're making light of it, but having known you for many years now and having had lots of conversations about the legal system and specific cases, and certainly the conduct of our elected officials as it relates to the legal matters, which is why you're here today, I have the utmost respect for you. All right, so as we were talking, we talked last week on Friday about the date 9/25.
Yes.
September 25th.
2025, yes.
And the name James Comey, former director of the FBI.
I think it's a watershed date in American history. It doesn't fall in the same category with September 11th, January 6th, December 7th, those kinds of things. But I will tell you that from my assessment, what happened on September 25th, last Thursday, the return by a federal grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia, interesting to talk about that as well, of this 2-count indictment against James Comey, a watershed event, not only in the legal history of America, but in our general history, our governmental history. Why? Because from my perspective, this is such a significant thing. It marks the entrance into our American psyche and the way that we do business of authoritarianism. And we have now moved into that very clearly and unmistakably.
So in the range of things that have happened this year, of which there's been a lot.
Very many.
Why is, because I think
right.
it is starting to feel, I think for the layperson, there is a little bit of the boy who cried wolf.
Right.
There's so many, all of these, whether it's ICE, whether it's sending the National Guard in, whether it's now indicting James Comey. Like for you, why is this, out of everything that's happened this year, the watershed moment?
And Kristin, you make a very good point. There have been times, like everyone else, and I've looked at these events, especially sending military troops into the cities of America. I've thought when that happened in Los Angeles, Washington, maybe that's it. This is one I think that stands apart. Why? Because what you have unmistakably is a directive by our chief executive, the President of the United States of America, who, number one, should not be involved in these issues at all, telling the government, telling the Department of Justice to seek and then obtain a criminal charge against his political adversary. If you were to describe that with respect to any other executive around the world, some other country, what would we all say? We would say, oh, plainly, that is a place where we've got an authoritarian who's now in control.
Banana republic.
A banana republic is what we would say, right? We'd say the same thing about anybody who's sending troops into the cities of a foreign nation. Here, the reason why that is so significant is you are now using the mechanisms, again, for which you should have no contact at all. You are using the mechanisms of the grand jury process, a constitutional process, to seek what he said he was going to do during the campaign, which is retribution. And it not only undermines the notion of justice, but it diminishes the significance of grand jury indictments, right? Because if, in fact, you can direct the Attorney General, in this case, a U.S. attorney in Eastern Virginia, in Alexandria, right across the river there, to seek and obtain a charge against one of my political, I'll use the word enemy, you have moved into a category where your power is unchecked. And yes, other things are going to come up, but you are now using that system and you are acting as an authoritarian.
Much of the early criticism that I've seen over the weekend was the indictment and the appointment of the prosecutor,
yes.
Halligan, I believe is her last name.
Lindsay. Yep.
And insurance is where she sort of worked before. Never prosecuted a case, as far as I know. These are high-level cases. From your professional perspective, appointing someone like that who has no experience, does that speak to the merits or lack thereof of merit in this case?
All right. I think it does. Again, insurance practice, it is honorable. It's decent. We need insurance lawyers in America, right? But it's like asking me, for example, to do tax law. That's something I would not feel comfortable at all doing. The president referred to her as a tough prosecutor. It is a part of the record that she has never prosecuted a criminal case, state or federal, in her experience. Nothing wrong with that. But you do want to select from people who know the process, who know what the standards are when you go in front of a grand jury. We know that she herself appeared in front of the grand jury. That's not unprecedented, but it's unusual. She herself presented evidence. We don't know what that is yet in front of the grand jury. You expect somebody in that capacity to know what the process is all about. We know there was a mess with respect to a couple of different versions of this indictment, even the magistrate judge saying which one of these is real. We know as well that there are people inside the Department of Justice, inside the U.S. Attorney's Office in Eastern Virginia who do this all the time, who know how to do it properly. That's the concern.
Is there a chance, it's rare, but is there a chance this is thrown out? Dismissed.
I think that there is a very strong chance that a judge, and we know who it is, he's a federal district court judge. He interestingly has been involved, obviously, in many other cases that we know about. Here is the basis for a motion to dismiss. And it's called prosecutorial misconduct. It's called selective prosecution. You're identifying, once again, someone who is a political enemy of the president. You are identifying somebody who's being charged when others are not, right? And that's the concept. It is valid inside the law. And what do you do to support that? You look at the president's own comments. We know the weekend before this happened, he bemoaned the fact that his own attorney general was not acting quickly enough with respect to Comey and with respect to Adam Schiff, the senator from California. Letitia James, the attorney general in New York, bemoans that fact, puts it out on social media, and then goes on to say, literally, just before all of this is happening, he says, I can't tell you what's going on. I can only say that Comey is a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. Comey is indicted 7 hours later, and afterwards, the president, your president, celebrates this by saying justice in America.
Supporters of this indictment, or this, lawfare, as we know, sort of some people call it, would say that, well, they went after Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. This is what I feel like I have not heard the strong argument of why this is a valid move, but more of a whataboutism and the retribution argument of like, well, they came after Trump, and so this is justified.
Right. And here's the fundamental concept. It sounds very process related. The difference is that you didn't have Joe Biden, you didn't have Barack Obama in this role telling Merrick Garland, telling Eric Holder to prosecute people who are saying things about me that I don't like. That is a huge difference. And you've got independence inside the Department of Justice and U.S. Attorney's offices.
Important distinction. Jim Santel, our guest for the remaining minutes of this half hour. Then special guest next half hour, Missy Hughes, now a candidate for the Democratic nomination for governor. Point taken. Good to be back. Steve, Kristin, 620 WTMJ.
It's Gina Della. You've heard me define what makes Pella Windows and Doors different. Let me introduce you to the woman behind the billboards, commercials, and share my extraordinary journey of resilience, reinvention, and shattering glass ceilings every Saturday morning at 6:30 on 620 WTMJ and anywhere you stream podcasts for What's the Difference with Gina Della to discuss business coaching across all industries, featuring successful executives, entrepreneurs, and mentors along the way. This is a story you won't want to miss.
Hey, it's WTNJ, Steve Scaffidi for Advent, snoring, tossing and turning, restless nights of sleep, all things I suffered from. Probably more than most people realize. This is a problem because it leads to grouchy mornings on the radio for me or at your workplace. Maybe your bed partner's not getting the sleep they deserve. My nose wasn't working properly. I went to Advent as a customer and a client. 30-minute visit. They walked me through all the problems that you could have, all the ways they could fix it. And after a really simple sleep study at home in my own bed, they determined my problem was sinuses, a nasal passage in my breathing triangle. After a very short procedure, I'm talking less than a half hour, I'm back to breathing better than ever, sleeping through the whole night, which is a blessing, trust me. If you struggle with restless nights like I used to, take the time to see how Advent can help you to find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better. Go to adventknows.com, schedule an appointment today. Do not wait. Change your life because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Patrick and Monica initially chose a bank to get pre-approved and provide financing for the purchase of their first home. But they were getting a bad feeling when a week after their offer was accepted, the bank still hadn't locked in their rate, nor had the appraisal been ordered. Monica shared her concerns with a friend who happened to be a multi-time Accunet client. That led to Monica connecting with one of our senior loan consultants the same day, and after gathering some information and reviewing options, we locked in their rate right then and there with loan costs $3,600 lower than what the bank had quoted. The appraisal was ordered right away too, and the loan closed on time just 3 weeks later. We also noticed an oversight in the contract that led to a $3,000 credit from the seller. You can get a generic pre-approval and average or worse service from a bank, or you can get the kind of fast service, advice, attention to detail, and savings that made Monica and Patrick Accunet's latest raving fans. All you got to do to get started is click on the blue button at Accunet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
All right, we are warmed up on this Tuesday. I'm certainly warmed up. Good to be back in the saddle. Steve and Kristin, point taken. Jim Santel, our guest for this half hour. You know, I guess for me, looking at politics, the absurdity of a lot of these things is sort of just keep that story gets bigger and bigger.
Yes.
When we see presidents actively commenting on prosecutions or potential prosecutions or advocating for a Attorney General to go after people or the FBI to go after. It gives me pause. Like, we've had this happen before, but we know what the results were. Exactly. Are we going to see a similar result here? I don't think so.
Right. We saw this back in 1973 and 1972, and we put in reforms that basically said we have to roll back even the focus on this issue. There should not be any communication about the substance of prosecutions between the White House and the Department of Justice. You can say, yes, I'd like to have you prosecute more antitrust cases, more tax cases, more civil rights cases, broadly speaking. But the notion of saying, I want Steve Scaffidi prosecuted for something, that is not only not the norm, that has been exactly the reason why we responded to Watergate in the way that we did. And frankly, with the exception of the first Trump term, every other president, Republicans and Democrats, have observed that norm. We have run roughshod over that completely. This is so far beyond that now. You've got the president making these statements. And the other thing he doesn't appreciate, I suspect somebody has told him this, he may not appreciate this, the very things that he is saying, directing Pam Bondi to do these things, saying these things about Schiff and James and Comey and others. There's also obviously a growing list of people, Soros and others out there who he's plainly going to target. By saying those things, Mr. President, you are affirmatively compromising the very prosecution that you want to accomplish, right?
His words will end up in this case.
Absolutely. They will show up in the motion for a vindictive prosecution, and the judge is going to be asking the government attorneys, what do I do with this? When plainly the question is whether this is properly motivated, whether there is a sufficient basis upon which to proceed with this. That's the reason why these statements are not only contrary to the norm, but they're affirmatively violative of the very thing he wants to have accomplished. But I will also say beyond that, you know what? The investigation and the prosecution, that is the punishment. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. It matters hugely whether or not these people are convicted. It is the investigation, the announcement. It is, in this case, again, the watershed event. Now we've got a complaint. We've got a criminal charge and indictment. That in and of itself is the persecution.
So it's more that, because that was going to be my next question.
Absolutely.
As far as the role that the obviously judges will play in this, right? And there still is another branch of government, there is maybe not a full banana republic yet, unless he gets charged and actually sentenced, right?
Right.
And so, where do you feel like we are when it comes to that other third rail being the judicial system?
Right. And I think we are strong. I've said this on this wonderful show and publicly beyond that. Federal district court judges and most appellate courts around this country are the bastions. They are the guardrails that are still responding, not politically, not in a partisan way, but looking at the executive orders, looking at these kinds of things, everything from USAID to last week the Federal Trade Commission, all these kinds of things, and saying, you know what, this is contrary to the Constitution. This is contrary to the ways in which the Congress set up the Consumer Product Safety Commission. And for that reason, you cannot do this, Mr. President. And the law that you're invoking, for example, to justify sending troops into various cities, that too does not provide a basis for doing what you want. Tariffs is another one. We've got federal courts out there saying the right things. The question is what happens when it gets to the Supreme Court.
Which
We've
seen the track record so far.
Yeah, let's talk Supreme Court after the break. Jim Santel, former attorney, U.S. attorney for Southeastern Wisconsin. She's Kristin. I'm Steve. Point taken, 620 WTMJ.
This year, it just feels different.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Keep it to WTMJ as the Brewers fight their way to a pennant throughout the run of the playoffs. Brewers playoff coverage is presented by the Neurospine Center of Wisconsin and by Annex Wealth Management, Boucher Automotive, and Delta Dental. We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
WTMJ and Sidex are back with a beautiful bathroom contest. Beautiful, I should say. One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to, get this, $10,000. It's easy. Just snap a pic of your scary shower, terrifying tub, or even just one you're tired of. And enter now. Text BOO, B-O-O, to the WTMJ Talk and Text line 855-616-1620 or visit WTMJ.com. Submit your picture and for all full contest rules.
Ooh, something smells good.
Let's see. Melt 2 sticks of butter and add sugar.
Ben, what are you doing?
I'm cooking Thanksgiving dinner.
What? It's way too early for that.
I know, Arvid, but I just can't wait to serve a big family meal on the Flay table from Penny Mustard.
Oh, I love the Flay table. The design is so sleek and simple, yet oh so perfect.
Mix in 2 cups of peanut butter and strained beets.
The Flay's strong Midwest craftsmanship means you'll be serving family feasts on this table for generations.
Half a cup of mayonnaise.
And it's expandable, so as your family grows, the Flay table grows too.
And just a dash of Tabasco.
Hold on. What recipe are you making?
Recipe? What's a recipe?
The American-made solid wood Flay table paired with 4 Kendall chairs with your choice of fabric or leather starting at $68.71 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Tastier versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Loyalty, family. Few things are more important. This is WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi and Loyal Family Renovations. They saved the day after a brutal storm in Oak Creek. Hail damage, yeah, I had a lot of it. But Jeff, Jake, and the whole team, absolute pros, made the entire process smooth as can be. Let's be honest, not everyone knows how to deal with adjusters. They handle all the questions, quick answers, top-notch customer service in just 2 days. My roof was done. If storm damage hits, call the team that made it easy for me. Loyal Family Renovations. Visit loyalfamilyrenovations.com. A few minutes left with former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel talking about the legal implications of a lot of the things happening in this country right now. U.S. Supreme Court, there are interesting Clarence Thomas comments
last week at a...
I'm paraphrasing, but what's this precedent thing? Maybe that doesn't matter.
Right.
What do you make of that?
There are suggestions. It is horrifying. And if we cannot rely upon precedent, that's not to say that if it turns out the precedent was wrong, right? Dred Scott, Plessy versus Ferguson. Yes, we overrule those. We overturn those. And we say, yes, indeed, when you are segregating based upon race and education, other things, that is violative of the Constitution. So the Supreme Court can overturn precedent. But what he is talking about is simply a general feel that precedent generally, the notion that we should be guided by things that we have decided previously, not so much. And frankly, it rears its ugly head just last week in this FTC case. There is a thing that I suspect your listeners will get to know, as will you. It's called Humphrey's Executor. Humphrey's Executor is a 1935 case. It basically says president cannot fire FTC people, commissioners, okay? And Elena Kagan goes nuts appropriately when the Supreme Court permits Donald Trump last week to fire Rebecca Slaughter, who's an FTC commissioner. She says, what about Humphrey's Executor? 90 years of precedent. And she says, basically what you've done is you have overruled that longstanding tradition, both constitutionally supported and certainly supported over history. And yet Clarence Thomas will look at that and say, so what's your point, Jim? That's the concern.
I have a lot of different ways I want to take this, but I just go at least to put a button back on the James Comey thing, because as you said, you were feeling more confident about federal judges and the appellate judges, and then what if it makes it to the Supreme Court, it's a little bit more of a gamble considering what's been happening with the hit rate on the shadow docket.
Right.
But does the Supreme Court see criminal cases? Like, how could the James Comey case end up in front of the Supreme Court?
Right. They're fairly rare. You're right. We've got some bigger picture questions that come out there. But some of our major cases, the right to counsel in felony prosecutions, that's Gideon versus Wainwright. That an appellate decision by the Supreme Court finding this constitutional principle comes out of a prosecution of Mr. Gideon. And so the answer is it does happen. And there are all kinds of situations like that. They tend to be very technical, the things that U.S. attorneys love to talk about. But sentencing guidelines, for example, a number of years ago, that comes up out of Wisconsin on a criminal case. But they don't, you're right, they don't.
But they're not charging, like they wouldn't be doing like the sentencing for what the crime was. It's more about the constitutionality of what the charge is.
Exactly. They're reviewing what the lower courts have done already. It happens. And there are some cases like that coming up in the docket starting, frankly, 6 days from now, but it's just not as frequent, just not as often in the public attention.
We spent a lot of time last year talking about the Supreme Court and how we felt, how you felt, our legal experts, Mary and the others, about the work and the sort of the rulings and the decisions they were making. Give me your sense where you were last year and then where you're at now, given what we just talked about.
Right. You can disagree. You should disagree in America. That's First Amendment stuff. If you think the Supreme Court has gotten it wrong, everybody can do that. Not just lawyers, not just judges. We can all talk about major decisions issued by the Supreme Court that we think are wrong. We can parse out what they've said. That's America. The difference, what's been going on here for the past 8 months, is now in excess of 20 different cases involving huge things like support for academic institutions, the continued vitality of agencies like the Department of Education, all that sort of thing, that's being resolved without any of that exposition. That is a huge change in our understanding of how the court works and how we can understand what decisions they're making.
Always appreciate you sharing your wisdom. Jim Santel, you'll be back at some point in the future, because I'm guessing there'll be lots more to talk about as we sort of develop this story. James Comey and others. Lots more to do on the show. Missy Hughes, who is one of the newest candidate
as of yesterday.
Governor. Democratic nomination. She'll be in studio. We got local news with Greg Matzek. Before we get to that, of course, now the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. President Trump telling generals and admirals who'd been summoned to Virginia from around the world they should use American cities as training grounds because crime has become a war from within that they need to fight. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, addressing those senior leaders, telling them the Pentagon is killing quotas, allowing hazing once again, and implementing new standards for physical fitness in the military, asking if your son enlisted.
Would you want him serving with fat or unfit or undertrained troops? Or alongside people who can't meet basic standards? Or in a unit where standards were lowered so certain types of troops could make it in? In a unit where leaders were promoted for reasons other than merit, performance, and warfighting? The answer is not just no, it's hell no.
We're just a few hours away from the first government shutdown in almost 7 years as Democrats and Republicans in Congress have been unable to reach a budget. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 10:31, 70 degrees and sunny at the Avenue. I'm Greg Matzik. Milwaukee police investigating a deadly stabbing near the Mitchell Park Domes. An 18-year-old died near 22nd and National about 2 o'clock Monday afternoon. Police say the suspect stabbed the victim during an argument. A 19-year-old woman was arrested and charges are pending. The person who was attacked near Camp Randall Stadium in Madison has passed away. Our news partners at WISC-TV report the victim is 62-year-old Mark Tigelaar from Fitchburg. UW-Madison police are recommending amended charges of first-degree intentional homicide against the suspect, Keith Jones. He's in custody, but no official charges have been filed. Jones is accused of violently assaulting the victim in a parking lot near the stadium on September 20th. Tigelaar died in the hospital 5 days later. And Wisconsin health officials have released a new statewide suicide prevention plan. The Department of Health Services says the plan is designed to increase the effectiveness of suicide prevention efforts by providing data, along with best practices, resources, and recommended action steps. The state suicide prevention plan is updated approximately every 5 years, with a goal to reduce the number of people who attempt or die via suicide in the state of Wisconsin. Health officials say anyone who needs support can contact the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Things have taken a turn for the worse here. The Dow is off about 150 points at 46,170. NASDAQ off about 40 today at 22,553. And the S&P 500 down about 10 points this morning at 6651. For sound financial advice from a fee-only fiduciary, it's Annex Wealth Management. Go to annexwealth.com and click on the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, a WTMJ Time Saver traffic update. Still got some issues here. 4145 southbound. Delays began right around Bradley Road, and they run through Good Hope. Had some issues there from the morning that are still causing a bit of delay. And then you get into the construction zone on 4145 southbound, so you're never really off the brakes once you get a little south of Good Hope. It should be back to normal speeds around the time you get to Burleigh. So quite a delay if you're heading southbound 4145. Those delays begin right around Bradley Road and extend south on and off the brakes to Burleigh Road. Well, nice conditions today. Sunny and beautiful, high of 82 degrees. Overnight low of 56. Clouds start rolling in on Wednesday with a high of 77. And then we warm up once again. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, temperatures in the low to mid 80s, just slightly cooler near the lake. Right now it's 72 degrees in Cudahy, 74 in Cross Plains, 72 in Cedar Grove, and 70 at the Avenue. I'm Greg Matzik, Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 10:34.
With all the positive Google reviews continuing to pour in for Rich Lawn's Tire and Service Centers, we want you to know we appreciate you.
You were due for service, we delivered, and then you went the extra mile and wrote a few kind words about the service you experienced.
Yeah, thank you so much. Michael, Glenn, Jeff, Lisa, Carol, Jason, John,
Wait,
Michelle,
hang on a
Ryan.
second, Dad. As fun as it may be to name every single person who's ever left us a Google review, there just isn't enough time. We get 60 seconds, and I'd say we've got about 28 left.
Ah, good point, Courtney.
Listen, we appreciate every last one of you for helping us maintain a nearly 5-star Google rating. And we're going to keep on shooting for the stars, especially when it comes to providing top-notch auto repair service.
Yep, and remember, be safe, buckle up, and hey, always make sure you've got good tread on your tires. Peter, Bruce, Samantha, Kimberly, Nick, Heather,
Oh,
Marissa,
Dad.
George, Jeremy, Diane, Brad, Paul.
Who
doesn't need a seasonal wardrobe update? But who has the cash to always keep their wardrobe updated? Ladies, that's why you shop St. Vincent de Paul. Our women's clothing is always a highlight of our stores, and thrift store prices keep the costs low. It allows you to experiment and also find a hidden gem. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
The Fox and Hound Supper Club is hiring qualified kitchen expediters, ensuring food quality is at its highest standard. And bussers. You'll make real money working nights and weekends. Parents, tell your kids, inquire today, start next week. It's the real deal. Contact the Fox and Hounds.
Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
Moving along on this Tuesday edition, Monday for me because I was off yesterday. Thanks to Kristin for filling in my absence.
I was going to be here either way.
Were you going to show up?
Was I filling in, or was I just stepping up
You
to do more than I usually do?
Well, as you know, when you do a co-host situation, having to do it all by yourself is more work.
Yeah, I was a little rusty.
Were you?
Yeah,
Well,
I get very reliant on our banter, filling the gap.
I love the banter, but you're going to get used to it because I'm going to be off
2 weeks without,
after
yeah.
Thursday for 2 weeks while I.
Well, you're not here Friday?
I'm not here Friday either. No.
I'm just with the boys alone.
You got the boys, Bill Bacaccia, Joseph Pecky, for every Friday.
Oh.
The former political power hour, and they're fantastic. All right, let's get to our guest. She is the former head of Wisconsin's Economic Development Corporation, a.k.a., as my friend Kristin put in the notes, WEDC. She is Missy Hughes. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here.
All right, so, this is sort of a throwaway question, but why you and why now running for the Democratic nomination for governor?
I am so excited to have announced yesterday that I'm running for governor, and I'm doing it because I love the people of Wisconsin so much. Over the course of working for farmers and working for economic development all around the state, I've gotten to meet so many incredible people. And the idea of being able to keep serving them and helping them have lives where everybody can be prosperous and vibrant is just so exciting to me.
So I was a big fan of WEDC, still am, and I, as a former mayor known for development, I appreciate that we have people working on our behalf. So what of those skill sets from that position sort of translate to running for governor?
I think there's really two sides of it. One side, we did incredible work on main streets all around the state. In every county, we helped bring businesses to empty storefronts and really fill up main streets. And, I think our communities and our main streets are the heart of our economy and our state. But then on the other side, I've really worked a lot with big businesses, and we've gotten some great investments in Wisconsin, whether it's Milwaukee Tool or Eli Lilly, and really excited to continue to create great jobs for Wisconsinites.
So as far as that aspect of it, because I think you're kind of filling the non-politician lane. That's a lot of what I heard yesterday in your rollout of, I'm not a politician. I'm not here for the divisive politics. I want to get things done. I want to focus on the economy. But in the same breath, because you're not a politician, and I think unless you work in business, not a lot of name recognition for as far as people not being unfamiliar with you. And so as far as in this rollout of trying to get people to know you and know what it took to do your job, how do you feel like you're going to approach that?
Well, I love that Steve mentioned being a mayor, because as I go around to communities, definitely people are really aware of the work that economic development does around the state. And it's just a matter of translating that to remind them that that's Missy and that's, how all of this happened over the course of the last 6 years. But also with working for farmers around the state, I have a really strong presence in the dairy industry. I got to go to the Wisconsin Cheese Ball on Friday night, which is
always
amazing.
Fun.
If you ever want to go to the Cheese Ball, you should go to the Cheese Ball. And, just got to see some old friends in the dairy industry who are really excited to have somebody running for governor who understands how you get from the farm all the way to the shelf. So, I think that while it feels like I've got definitely some work to do on name recognition, I also think I have something that I can really ground people with as far as my experience.
So let's talk policy and sort of politics. The rise of the data centers across the state of Wisconsin. Kristin and I have talked a lot about this because I'm really into AI now. I spend most of my time researching all of that, what it means, artificial general intelligence. But data centers are a fact of life here in Wisconsin. From a policy perspective, as governor, what would you sort of say about the rise of data centers and their impact, not just on business, but the citizens who live around these centers.
You know, I think that data centers have really evolved over the course of the last few years, you know, as we've seen them from years ago when we thought they were big boxes that made noise to a much more sophisticated conversation now. They create incredible amounts of jobs when it comes to construction. And then, you know, when you're looking at these large data centers that we're seeing in southeast Wisconsin and around the state, they actually do create long-term jobs for folks to be able to have family-sustaining careers. So I think that, you know, it's interesting. We need to keep thinking about the environmental impacts of the data centers. We need to be super aware of that. And as we've seen the data centers come up around Wisconsin, the administration, Governor Evers, we've been really, really involved in making sure that we're checking the boxes when it comes to things like water and wetlands and making sure those things are protected.
What about energy consumption?
Energy consumption is really big with the data centers. There's no denying it. I think that there's also going to be an unlocking of new resources for energy. We see incredible research coming out of UW-Madison around energy creation. And so I think it's actually going to push us into the next generation and next innovation of energy creation.
With all the nuclear research?
For sure.
So I guess in doing what you've done for the last couple of years, where do you feel like the biggest opportunities are for the Wisconsin economy, like the opportunities for growth, and where are things turning a page?
You know, I think one of the things that was really exciting that we saw over the course of the last couple of years was the creation of the BioHealth Tech Hub, which is a connection between Milwaukee and Madison and all the businesses that are involved in personalized medicine, which is really this idea of if you come in and you've got some illness that needs to be very targeted and very taken care of, we're going to develop through AI, Steve, the opportunity to get you the treatment that you need to get you back to your family as quickly as possible. We have companies like GE Healthcare, Exact Sciences, Epic, all involved in this and working really closely with the universities on it. I think it's a huge opportunity for Wisconsin to really make a mark about the next generation of business and how we can solve problems for folks.
Missy Hughes, our guest on Point Taken on 620 WTMJ. She can stick around for the next part of this half hour. She's former head of the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, known as WEDC. Lots more to get to on Point Taken. We'll do it after this on 620 WTMJ.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
It's a bird bash at Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to $50,000 cash in the Bird Bash game show. Just play with your rewards card this October for a chance to win. Wouldn't you like to rake in a huge pile of cash? Bird Bash, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info at potawatomi.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play.
Does your bathroom belong in a haunted house? Or maybe it's just time for a refresh. WTMJ and Sidex are back with the Beautiful Bathroom Contest. One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to $10,000. It's easy. Snap a pic of your scary shower, terrifying tub, or even just one you're tired of. And enter now at WTMJ.com. Sidex makes it easy to go from fright to fabulous.
Don't think twice. Call Dice.
A great way to add value and curb appeal to your home is with the new LiftMaster or CHI maintenance-free garage door. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. A study by Remodelers Magazine reports that the average return on investment is an amazing 82%. Garage doors rank first among all home improvement projects. To see Geiss's huge selection of doors, visit their showroom in Brookfield, or you can also visit their online showroom at geissdoors.com. Geiss has everything from alley doors to custom wood designer doors and everything in between. Remember, for all your garage door needs, you call Geiss at 262-784-4250. That number again, 262-784-4250. It's Geiss. Visit them online at geissdoors.com.
think twice. Call Dice.
At Hazelden Betty Ford, treating mental health isn't just about breaking old patterns. It's about braving new ones. As the leader in alcohol and drug treatment for 75 years, we know caring for addiction, anxiety, depression, and trauma goes hand in hand. We're here for you with new tools when life breaks down. Discover your path to better mental health at hazeldenbettyford.org/Wisconsin. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation.
Church and Chapel Funeral Homes. Family owned, family operated, family priced. Church and Chapel Funeral Homes. There's one near you.
Oh, we should just run the stuff we talk about during the breaks. Sort of an extra overtime like Bill Maher does. All right, Missy Hughes, our guest, former head of the WEDC in Wisconsin. Divisive politics.
Yes, that's where I wanted to go next to.
Stupidity of politics is the way I frame it, because politics is stupid, and as much as I talk about politics for a living and meet a lot of elected officials, not a fan of most of them. How are you different? How are you, other than mayors, how are you different?
Here's what I'm going to say. As I go around the state and I talk to folks, I'm thinking about running for governor. What do you think? People are so incredibly tired of the yelling and like that 500,000-foot yelling of people just shouting at each other. And I see people sitting around community tables all the time, community leaders who are trying to figure out, how can we get something done? How can we make our community better? They don't care if you're wearing a red shirt or a blue shirt. Nobody would ever ask me when I came into these rooms, what's your stance on X, Y, and Z? It was just like, how can we get this done? That's where Wisconsinites are really excited, just to have impact.
But I think that works really well in a general. But obviously we have a very long primary season, and it's not until next August. And so as far as the politics that go into where the Democratic Party is right now and having to pick a lane. And so we know that some of the other Democratic candidates in their launch videos took on the Trump thing head on. Like, are you planning to just kind of avoid it entirely and just focus on Wisconsin? Or like, how are you going to avoid the questions that are inevitably going to come up about how Wisconsin fares to a Democratic base against this administration?
I think the divisiveness, it's a hard word to say, comes from calling names, from putting labels on things and being, dramatic and shouting. What I want to do is be able to clearly say, this is why tariffs is terrible for our economy. This is why the unpredictability makes it so businesses don't want to hire people and they don't want to make long-term investments. It's just too unpredictable. It's too much chaos. You see it happening with the shutdown right now. Like, okay, what's that going to mean for how we move forward and things like that? So what I'd rather do is talk about it in a way that is actually brings people to the table. And we say, okay, let's talk about these issues. Let's give these point of views. We got to build that muscle back. The shouting, the name calling is just not something that's going to help move us forward.
As I'm listening to you speak, I'm reading the text line as well, and questions are coming in. So I'm going to just ask a couple, and these are some I would have asked as well. The impact on tourism in northern Wisconsin because of several mild winters. Is there something the state should be doing, governor, legislature, on behalf of those folks who are impacted by two winters where they're not seeing a lot of business?
Yeah, we've been at the heart of that and seeing that at WEDC for the last, I still say we, so I apologize to everybody for that. Seeing that unfold, and it's so interesting to think about the impact of drought when it comes to something like no snow. And I think what we need to do is continue to work with our businesses, continue to work with the folks in northern Wisconsin to think about what are other markets you can work with. Is ice fishing something that you lean into because there's no snow, but hopefully there's at least ice? Is there other ways to be more resilient, other ways to build up the other seasons of the year? Our Department of Tourism has done an amazing job in working with the businesses to do everything we can to make them more resilient.
Let's do this. We'll take a quick break here. So I have a little more longer segment at the end. Missy Hughes, our guest, WEDC. She was the head of that, and also has history in the dairy industry and business in general.
Organic Valley.
Yeah, so very cool. She's our guest for the remaining part of this half hour. And I got another question that I'm going to ask you. I'll tell you what it is during the break, but it's one that it's on a lot of people's minds, and we're surrounded by it. Maybe that'll give you a hint, but not in Wisconsin. So think about that as we take a break. Point taken. 620 WTMJ.
The Census Bureau says more than 12,000 Americans turn 65 each day. It's a surge they call Peak 65, the highest number in history. Some Annex clients retire early. Some keep working because they love it. You know why? Because they've got custom plans built by fee-only fiduciaries. They identified their wants and needs, and we went to work. We want to do the same for you. Annex does financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Visit AnnexWealth.com and click the Get Started button.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi from Milwaukee Weight Loss. Yes, I can't believe it, but you should believe it because I lost now 46 pounds since January. How did I do it? Milwaukee Weight Loss. Not the shots, not the gimmicky stuff, the meals, bars, shakes, just hard work, willpower, eating less, still getting my 10,000 steps in, but they helped me lose the weight without the crazy, but it reset my metabolism because I've been off the reduction program for a while now, and I was actually still losing some weight. And the weight comes off. It's doctor-developed and natural and helped thousands of people just like me, and certainly you lose that body weight in just 8 weeks. Then you got to maintain. Most people, 20, 30 pounds of weight loss. If you have a reunion or a wedding or a vacation you're looking forward to, this is the answer for you. It was for me. Milwaukee Weight Loss, incredible team. Their coaches are amazing. Part of the success story that I had was those coaches at Milwaukee Weight Loss. Schedule your free consultation today or go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com or call 262-393-2334. I'm reading it slow because somebody said, you're reading it too fast. 262-393-2334. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
Some things are fine to buy from a vending machine, but despite what a certain national online company tells you, a car is not one of them.
Let's see. Cheese doodles, Mr. Nougat bar. Oh, here we go. Green 4-door hatchback. We're gonna need some more quarters.
Sure, they make it seem convenient, but it won't be so convenient if you have a problem with the vehicle you buy. And if it's after 7 days, good luck. Adam member dealers also let you search online, and unlike those national companies, you get to see the vehicle in person and test drive it before you buy it. You also have the assurance that the vehicle's been thoroughly tested. And if any issue does come up, your local Adam member dealer is right here to service it and can also provide low financing and top dollar for your trade. Think about that before you take the chance with their so-called vending machine.
What? It's stuck. No! Oh, rats.
Start your search at ADAMM.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
All right, we got a few remaining moments with Missy Hughes. She's a candidate now for the Democratic nomination for governor of the state of Wisconsin from WEDC, formerly. Lots of business experience. All right, got to ask you the cannabis question because everybody wants to know, because we're surrounded by it, including Canada, every state except us. Are you in support of legalizing recreational and
at least let's start with medical.
Yeah, I often don't mention that because that's like a no-brainer. But
and yet we still don't have it.
Yeah.
What
well,
do you think?
I will say that I personally witnessed the amazing opportunity of medical marijuana with my mother-in-law, who was really struggling with incredible pain, and it really changed the game for her. So it's something we absolutely have to consider, because whatever we should be doing is trying to relieve pain, especially for people who have chronic pain and things like that. When it comes to total legalization, I absolutely think it should be on the table. What we've seen in other states is some states do it well. Some states have, not done it well. So let's look at the states that have done it well, and let's model how they've legalized marijuana and think about, what we want to have as a goal for that, whether it's increasing tax revenue or making sure that we're protecting the youth from overuse and things like that. Let's see what other states have done and do it really well.
I was going to say, beyond cannabis, which I think is a lot of money that's being left on the table, are there other ideas that you've had, either from your experience or just in general in talking to people, of innovative ways to be increasing revenues to pay for better public schools, revisit paid leave, a lot of different things that cost money, but are very popular. And so they're ideas that you have as far as where we could find some of that money.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm really focused on building a strong economy, because what we've seen is where we can have companies come in and invest in Wisconsin and create good paying jobs where we can start our own businesses here in Wisconsin and we can keep them here. That's the opportunity to grow the economy. Then you have more resources at hand, and you can use those resources to support your schools, to have better access to childcare and healthcare and education. All those pieces come from having a stronger economy.
One of the questions I ask candidates often is, what are the people telling you? Well, you just announced your campaign, so you're still early on. What do you think the people of Wisconsin most, before you've gone out there and talked to them, are thinking about?
Well, listen, I'm super excited. We had an amazing day yesterday for our launch. We raised over $200,000, which is just stunning to see the support. People are just really excited for an optimistic vision of the future. I'm positive. As I said in my video, I'm not going to go out and pick fights. I will protect our rights to the end of the day, but I want to make sure that we're thinking about, what comes over the hill, what's the future look like, and how can we really succeed?
All right, so what are you most excited about that has nothing to do with politics as you do this?
How'd you feel about the Packer game on Monday?
No, not that. Just
No. I'm always most excited about being able to drive home and go up my driveway. I live in southwestern Wisconsin. When I go up my driveway, I've got 70 sheep that look at me and my 2 donkeys and my 4 dogs, and they're just so happy to see me. And no matter what happens in all this craziness, they're going to love me at the end of the day. So,
well, and I said this yesterday, and I realized, I think whether it was the Senate race in 2022, but a lot of the times when we're seeing statewide Democratic candidates, they're mostly from Madison or Milwaukee. What do you think, whether it's how you are perceived in the relationships you have, or just in general because of who you are and where you come from, living in Viroqua, living on the western part of the state, changes how you approach your campaign, how you approach your mindset?
Well, certainly my experience in the dairy industry gives me a lens into a large part of the state. I tend to think of myself as being a 72-county candidate. I have spent so much time on the road in the last 6 years, and before that, visiting Wisconsin farmers. I have been all over the state, so I don't think of myself necessarily as living in one pocket or corner of the state. I really want to represent everybody.
All right, as we wind it up, good luck to you on the campaign. I say it to all the candidates, both sides. But as we think about this stuff, as we move forward, will you promise to come back on during the rest of the campaign?
Absolutely. I would love to.
Also, thank you for coming in person, because we always appreciate that.
We always appreciate in person.
I love being in person.
It's so much. Have you been in our studios before?
I haven't. We've worked with Good Karma Brands before. WEDC again. But,
there you go.
I'm super glad to be here, and thank you for the time.
And we're glad that you showed up as well. Missy Hughes, our guest, WEDC, former head and now candidate for the Democratic nomination for governor. Another hour ahead. Kristin, Steve, Point Taken, 620 WTMJ. News is next.
There's a lot of noise coming out of Washington these days, but one thing retirees in Wisconsin can't afford to ignore is the new Big Beautiful Bill. Sounds harmless, right? But here's the truth. The changes buried in this bill could have a serious impact on your retirement. At Drake & Associates, we've dug into the details, and we want to make sure you know what's really at stake. The Big Beautiful Bill includes sweeping updates to tax brackets, Social Security thresholds, Medicare premiums, and retirement account rules. And for many retirees, it could mean higher taxes on your savings, more limits on deductions, and unexpected changes to your income plan. Maybe you're already retired, or maybe you're just a few years away. Either way, what you don't know could cost you thousands. That's why we're offering Wisconsin residents a free educational guide to help you understand how the new bill may impact retirees and questions to discuss with your trusted financial advisor. Just text the word tax to 414-897-9522. That's tax, T-A-X, to 414-897-9522. You'll get immediate access to expert insights from the team at Drake & Associates, retirement planners who have been serving Wisconsin for over 20 years. We focus on tax-efficient retirement planning, helping you keep more of your money, avoiding surprises, and staying ahead of the curve no matter what Congress throws your way. So before the Big Beautiful Bill takes a bite out of your hard-earned savings, let's make sure your plan is designed to help prepare for uncertainty. Text TAX to 414-897-9522. That's TAX to 414-897-9522. Drake & Associates, helping build retirement confidence right here in Wisconsin.
Drake & Associates LLC is an independent investment advisory firm that offers a variety of different investment vehicles. This commercial is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as individual investment advice. Drake & Associates LLC does not provide legal or tax advice. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.
The Fox exclusive cruise sale with Royal Caribbean is going on now. Daring, first, and thrilling adventures are as plentiful as elegant moments and stress-melting relaxation when you sail with Royal Caribbean. Fox World Travel offers exclusive cruise prices up to 67% off you won't find direct or with any other local travel agency. Plus, for a limited time, receive free specialty dining on select cruises. Let a Fox World Travel cruise expert handle the daunting task of choosing ships, ports, and staterooms. Visit foxworldtravel.com to plan your next cruise.
No matter how many people are in your family, buying new jackets for the cold weather months can be expensive. But when you shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, prices on cold weather jackets will give you a sigh of relief because thrift store prices mean great deals. And right now we have a great selection. Find great deals on cold weather jackets for the family at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it. St. Vincent de Paul.
Trusted, relevant, locally owned, locally programmed. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ Milwaukee.
At 11:01, it's 73 degrees. Plenty of sunshine, beautiful conditions today with highs in the mid to upper 70s. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Neil Doyle. Milwaukee police are searching for the driver of a car that crashed into a school bus on the city's northwest side. It happened this morning just before 7 o'clock near 76th and Carmen. Police say a car blew a stop sign and ran into the school bus, causing the bus to then crash into a home, fence, and gas meter. The driver of the car then fled the scene. Authorities say there were no children on the bus and nobody was injured. A teenager accused of shooting and killing his girlfriend in Milwaukee making his first appearance in court.
Cash bond is set at $100,000 for 17-year-old Javier Smith. He faces one felony charge of first-degree reckless homicide and one misdemeanor charge for firearm possession under 18. Smith allegedly shot 15-year-old Azoria Jones while they were walking on a sidewalk near 75th and Silver Spring on September 21st. Investigators say video from a Milwaukee County Transit bus captures the shooting. Smith eventually admitted he shot Jones, but said it was accidental. He's pled not guilty to the misdemeanor. Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
A proposed Microsoft data center getting approval from the Caledonia Planning Commission. The company is hoping to build the facility on 244 acres just west of the We Energies plant. If approved, this would be Microsoft's third data center in Racine County. The Caledonia Village Board planning to discuss the project at its meeting coming up October 14th. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth telling hundreds of military officials there will be an end to politically correct leadership in the U.S. military. More from CBS's Charlie D'Agata.
He mentioned 10 directives. It has to do with combat readiness. He was big on fitness. He said no more fatties, his words. Even in the Pentagon, up to the general level, there will be a fitness test, and that is a gender-neutral fitness test. He went into grooming. There'll be no more beards anymore. In his words, no more beardos.
Hegseth saying promotion guidelines will be based on merit and not woke principles, and that anyone in the military who disagrees with his new directives should resign. The federal government appearing to be headed towards a shutdown at midnight after the president and congressional leaders failing to reach an agreement during a meeting at the White House yesterday. President Trump earlier this morning saying Democrats are asking for too much.
They want to give them full health care benefits. They want to open the wall again. Can you believe it? I can't even believe it.
A shutdown could mean the furlough and firing of federal workers. And don't panic if you don't see your Social Security check in the mail. It's now going out electronically starting today.
After 85 years of sending out paper checks to retirees, the Social Security Administration is transitioning to electronic payments. Paper checks are no more. The SSA instead will send benefits through either direct deposit or a prepaid debit card. The agency says paper checks are 16 times more likely to be lost or stolen. Plus, it says eliminating paper checks is also a cost-saving measure. Checks cost 50 cents each compared to 15 cents for an electronic funds transfer. But the agency says it will continue to issue paper checks to those who have no other way to receive payments. Nat Piper, CBS News.
Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Down days so far across the markets. The Dow is down 111 points, sitting at 46,204. The S&P 500 also down about 6%, sitting at 6,654, and the NASDAQ down 31 points at 22,559. Financial planning at every level, Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite, details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:05.
It's here on consignment from over 10,000 nationwide partners. From very high-end, distinctive furniture, unique antiques and original art, to tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. Premium home decor priced right at 25 to 40% off retail prices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Smart interior designers know that what they'll see here is going to be almost impossible to find anywhere else, especially at our consignment prices. Premium home decor that's gently loved and close to new. And what we carry can raise the wow factor of anyone's home decor. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
There I was outside doing some yard work when I noticed my neighbor looking over his windows. He's climbing up and down his ladder, and I hear him holler to his wife, "Honey, we're gonna need a few new windows." So I took a walk over and said, "Hi Ron, do you mind if I take a look?" He said, "Go right ahead." And I said, "You know, the window itself, which is the framework to the glass here, looks fine. And the sill, which is the bottom of the framework, that's fine too. It's the glass that needs replacing. The seal must be broke, and that lets in the moisture we're seeing. That's why your windows are fogging up." And he said, "So I don't need new windows?" And I said, "No, actually, if you want, I can have the glass replaced and they'll basically be as good as new. And believe me, it'll cost you a lot less than replacing these." This is Stacy Sinks with Less's Glass Service. If it's a new glass shower door, fogged or broken insulated glass replacement, or affordable glass and mirror home decor that you've been looking for, you just can't pass on Less's Glass. Less's Glass Service, serving all of southeastern Wisconsin. Find us at lessglassservice.com.
Time for a WTMJ sports update from the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Sports Desk. Major League Baseball playoffs getting underway today. 4 games on the schedule, including the Cubs and Padres from Wrigley Field.
The winner of that series heads to Milwaukee for games 1 and 2 of the NLDS.
I would love to play the Cubs.
Brewers broadcaster Jeff Levering.
In 13 games, you played them pretty evenly. I feel like the Brewers have a good blueprint of how to beat that team.
Milwaukee won 6 of the 13 games played against the Cubs during the regular season.
It would be a great series. It really would be a great series. It would be a great series against the Padres too. But I'm kind of leaning for a short commute for games 3 and 4 if necessary.
Greg Matzik, WTMJ News.
NFL Week 4 action wrapping up last night. It was the Dolphins over the Jets 27-21, and the Broncos rolling past the Bengals 28-3. The Packers after tying with the Cowboys, Green Bay entering their bye week. Let's take a look at the roads. Your WTMJ time saver traffic. A couple of incidents to report. I-41-94 southbound right at the ramp from College Avenue. Part of that right lane is blocked due to a crash, and then also I-41 southbound right at Oklahoma Avenue. Part of the right shoulder is blocked there due to an accident. And your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Plenty of sunshine today. We'll see highs in the mid to upper 70s. Tonight, a few clouds and a low down to 56. Wednesday, partly cloudy, a high around 77 degrees. Thursday, plenty of sunshine, highs in the low 80s. And then we continue to warm up. Friday, mostly sunny, a high of 87. Plenty of sunshine Saturday with a high of 86. In Sheboygan, it's 70 degrees. Right now, 72 in Cudahy, and it is 73 degrees in Milwaukee. I'm Neil Doyle, Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:09.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Kristin Brey.
Welcome back to the 11 o'clock hour of Point Taken. Steve is back. Just you and I this hour to talk about news of the day. Lots of things happening. We're obviously seeing what Pete Hegseth had to say to an arena of generals. And so we might touch on tomorrow, and we'll know tomorrow if there's going to be a shutdown or not. But I would say the biggest news yesterday that broke was Trump's 20-point peace plan to end the war in Gaza. And I'm excited to hear your points on this because it continues to see, I mean, it was just last week that Israel was basically leveling Gaza City and even more evacuations of people trying to get out of the way. Just every image I can see of what Gaza looks like now, I don't even know how if this plan works, where you even begin to rebuild and where the money comes back to rebuild. But as far as at least putting out, I don't know. This is just so hard because I think you're negotiating with Hamas, which is different than what the images of who we see, at least I see on my social media, of just the losers in this every single day for the last 2 years being the Palestinian people who have nothing to do with Hamas. And how does this...
Some do, some don't. They selected them as their leader many years ago.
All right. Many years ago. And how much of the population is people who are under 18?
That's a valid point. I'm just saying it started with that decision.
At least half of the population were born since that election happened. So that is not a valid point to be bringing up.
Well, it is valid because it's actually happened.
If they can't vote them out, then what's the point?
The point of it is they actively teach their young children that the only solution for Palestine is to eliminate Jews in Israel. So when you have that as a platform, it makes all this difficult. Here's why I like the plan. And I'm not a huge Trump supporter. No surprise, no breaking news. It actually is a plan.
It is a plan.
It sets up a group. I think, what do you call it? The Peace Board of Peace.
Board.
Yes. With many leaders from many countries.
Tony Blair.
Yeah.
What's he been doing?
Oh, he's been retired for a while.
I know. It's like, why? Out of all the people, the former British Prime Minister, getting him out of retirement.
But also well respected, which again, for this president, me saying this, I applaud that choice. And it sets a sort of a timetable. Now, there's 20 pieces. I'm not going to go through all of them. But here's what I like. It's a plan to start with. But it's not
to start with. They're basically saying that this is, you either are agreeing to this or Netanyahu and the Israeli forces can do whatever they like.
Which they can do anyway, without a plan or not. So that, again, you can argue about whether that means anything. I think that to say that we're going to sort of let people back into what they think is their homeland, and it may be, who knows, the history of that area is so convoluted over the millennia, it's a disaster zone. To me, the plan really makes sense when you talk about just taking it all. Why would you send people back into a war zone where all the buildings are going to tumble down at some point anyway? You have to basically scrub that landscape.
But who's paying for that?
That's the big question. Are we paying for it? Israel, other countries? Like we saw in the aftermath of World War II, everybody pays. Everybody pays. And if you really want to do something that means something, Texture says 80% of Palestinians back Hamas. Give me some backup on beyond just saying that. I don't know if that's true or not. But I think when you talk about reconstruction, which is basically what it is, you can't send people back into an area that's destroyed.
So where do they go? I mean, who is responsible for this group of people?
Well, apparently the Board of Peace. And you're going to have to, because the humanitarian part of this is horrific. You should not treat children, women, the elderly, in the fashion that they've been treated. I understand it's a war, and war is ugly. We all know that. If you've watched any history, any representations of the wars that we've gone through in this world, they're horrific. Innocent people are killed. But I don't want to see any more images of that. So there has to be something. And I will give the president credit for at least saying something that can maybe be a framework to move forward. Do Palestinians deserve a place that they can call their homeland? Absolutely. What or where that is, this group, including Palestinians, they have to be represented here, has to decide that. Can't be one country deciding, Israel, or us, United States. It has to be all the countries. It's a reconstruction. It's the same thing to me as what happened in World War II. You have to figure out where the borders are. You have to figure out how to keep people safe. You have to figure out how to develop an economy that actually works for people. The problem in the Middle East is there's too many people that just live there. They're not working there. You have to have an economy for people to have reason to live, reason to ability to support their family. There's so much shallow thinking about the Middle East. Yes, it's horrific, but you have to have a plan, and at least this sort of moves forward on an idea to make that happen.
Well, but it's also and the understanding of who rises to represent the Palestinian people? Because part of this plan is completely dismantling Hamas, right? As far as demilitarizing the entire area, and also Hamas not being in power anymore, which I totally understand. But as far as do you have elected officials? Do you collect basically millions of refugees to try to have organic leadership bubble to the top to speak for the people who have been displaced and misrepresented on a global scale? And so who on the board of peace actually represents the Palestinian people?
That's a great question. That'll have to be figured out, because who thinks that Hamas, who are terrorists, who are not intent on having peace, you agree with that, right? They're not looking for peace. They're looking to destroy Israel, which has always been their mission statement. So someone has to figure out what can be the next step here. Again, all of this is immensely difficult given the history, which has been, as I said, for millennia, back and forth, different borders.
Well, this has specifically been for almost a century, right?
Yes.
Coming out of World War II.
Right. If you look at the Middle East, Christians, Muslims, the Jews have all sort of had a share of the leadership in that region. Look, I don't have the easy answers to this, but I refuse to just say, well, we just got to clamp down on Israel, because what is that going to do? Israel, they want to defend themselves. That's what they're claiming through their leadership, Netanyahu, that's what they're doing. Now, do I think they've gone too far on occasion? Absolutely. And I don't want to see innocent lives destroyed, but this is a war. And I point people to this, and people hate.
So here's my question.
They now hate when I say this.
I'm going to push back on this a little bit.
October 7th matters for that reason.
It does matter, but as far as this being framed as an ongoing war versus an occupation, is because what we hear most days for the last 2 years is continued attacks from Israel inside of Gaza. And we have not heard more attacks from Hamas on Israel. Correct?
There was an attack a month ago inside Israel.
So yes, there was that.
Yeah.
And so, but as far, it seems like a one-sided war.
Only because Hamas has been essentially destroyed, at least their ability to create war, to create terror. So I think that would be a win for Israel, and they've been able to sort of eliminate most of the risk. But
wouldn't you say that in most wars, attacking civilians is a crime, a war crime?
It could be, and that'll have to be sorted out. But you have to start somewhere. And what is the answer if we don't have a peace plan or some idea, peace framework? What's the answer? You want to clamp down on Israel? That's the only thing I've heard from the other side.
No, I'm not saying clamp down on Israel. I'm just saying, as far as this to me, it certainly feels like a start, but it also feels like there is no representation. If you dismantle Hamas, which I'm not saying you shouldn't do, there still needs to be a plan to have the people who are the biggest victims of all of this to have some sort of representation.
But we can't dictate what Palestinians should think about that.
But we are dictating of what's going to happen to Palestine.
We're setting up a framework for something to happen, but ultimately they can reject that too.
Well, Hamas can. There's just, I think the thing that's is so heartbreaking is the people who have no voice in all of this being the biggest losers.
Yeah, the weak always suffer. That's the part that sucks. That's horrific. I don't like it. But I have to start somewhere, and I think this is at least an initiative. And people like Tony Blair, I think, is part of the solution. And the fact that many of the countries in the Middle East are saying, you know what, let's try something. I want to see the people of Palestine have an ability to, at some point, to take a breath and not have missiles flying into their wherever that is. And I also want the people of Israel to be protected. So we have to figure out something. So I will give the president credit in a limited way that says at least it's starting a conversation that maybe can get somewhere. And frankly, the fact that we're still talking about hostages all these years later, that's not a support for Hamas there. That's horrific, again, for those families that suffered all the way back on October 7th. All right, we'll take a break. We're already late for break. Kristin, Steve, point taken.
Goldsmiths are essential to running a jewelry store, but they're extremely hard to find.
Goldsmiths can repair jewelry, set diamonds, resize rings, and create beautiful, one-of-a-kind pieces of custom jewelry.
Most jewelry stores do not have an in-house goldsmith.
But Kessler's has 18 wonderful goldsmiths working in our 9 Kessler stores.
The average Kessler's goldsmith has more than 15 years of full-time experience.
And that's not counting all the apprentice goldsmiths and jewelry designers.
Our goldsmiths repair a lot of jewelry that we did not sell.
Bring us your broken jewelry and we'll bring it back to life.
When you see a woman with an extremely attractive, very distinctive engagement ring,
you can safely assume that it's a custom-designed, one-of-a-kind ring made by the goldsmiths at Kessler's.
When your relationship is special, you need a special engagement ring.
if you want something that's breathtakingly one of a kind,
come to Kessler's.
For the location of the Kessler's nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
It's Gina Della. You've heard me define what makes Pella Windows and Doors different. Let me introduce you to the woman behind the billboards, commercials, and share my extraordinary journey of resilience, reinvention, and shattering glass ceilings every Saturday morning at 6:30 on 620 WTMJ and anywhere you stream podcasts for What's the Difference with Gina Della to discuss business coaching across all industries, featuring successful executives, entrepreneurs, and mentors along the way. This is a story you won't want to miss.
How do you want your backyard to look? New deck, patio, shade area, pergola, fire pit, in-ground pool, outdoor kitchen, or all of it? Let Outdoor Living Unlimited design and build your space, and everyone will scream wow when they see your new backyard. Stop by Outdoor Living Unlimited's resourceful Waukesha showroom or visit OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Apologize for the long segment at the beginning, but it was stuff
Don't
we had
apologize.
to
It was a good conversation.
we had to talk that up because I think there's so much attention on that part of the world. Two hot spots, right? That one, and then obviously Ukraine, Russia. So again, I'm a guy that doesn't like the President of the United States, but I respect the President of the United States. So the office, and I think that we have to at least look at something. And I'm waiting for other ideas. And one of the texters said, "Well, this doesn't really create a Palestinian state." Yeah, I know that. But at some point, this board of peace, whatever representatives the Palestinian people pick, hopefully not Hamas, I think they'll have to work towards that. You got to start somewhere. And in this region, starting somewhere is like the hardest thing to get the people in the same room. So maybe that's the positive of it. I'm not optimistic, but it beats just sitting here, talking about how many people get blown up every day, right? And I can't, having watched a lot of video of what that area looks like, Gaza, I can't imagine a scenario where you just welcome back people to that. How do you live with no infrastructure, no food, no water? The buildings are all, the ones that are still standing, and they have a lot of tall buildings, are dangerous. Mm-hmm. I don't want people going back. Talk about risking people's lives. That's not as bad, but just almost as bad as having them in a war zone. So it has to be recreated. And it has to have a place for people who believe and identify as Palestinians. That has to happen. To not do that is essentially getting rid of that part of our world population. And I'm not a fan.
Say ethnic cleansing?
Yeah, that's not a good thing because they deserve to have a place. I have lots of people that follow me that identify as Palestinian. And I don't want to see the heartburn they have every day wondering if their friends and relatives are still alive. You imagine that? Just like in Ukraine. Good people who all of a sudden found themselves in a war. And they didn't decide. It's never the regular citizens that decide that. In this battle we're talking about, the Hamas organization, terrorist organization, they decided to escalate this.
Well, but it didn't start on October 7th. I think that's the thing that we always have to acknowledge.
Started a long time ago.
It's been an occupied apartheid state for a very long time. And so we can't ignore what happened on October 7th, but it certainly can't pretend like that was the start of this.
Right. My declarative statement on this, whatever this peace board or whatever, the plan, 20-point plan does, Hamas is a terrorist organization and cannot be a part of this. Cannot be a part. If people that are Palestinian can disagree with me, for me, that's a non-starter because you're not getting where. And they still have, what is the number of hostages? Should not be
20.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's 42, and 20 of whom are thought to still be alive.
Yeah, which is horrific in its own sense. All right, we'll take a break here. Sorry for the short piece, but we talked a lot in the beginning, which I think was a worthwhile conversation. All right, lots more to get to. We'll do it after this.
Does your bathroom belong in a haunted house?
Or maybe it's just time for a refresh. WTMJ and Sidex are back with the Boo
beautiful bathroom contest. One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to $10,000. It's easy. Snap a pic of your scary shower, terrifying tub, or even just one you're tired of. And enter now at WTMJ.com. Sidex makes it easy to go from fright to fabulous.
Streaming services, retail chains, and tech giants are all adding plus to their names. It's fairly obvious they were inspired by Hasseless mattress. Hasseless showrooms are employee-free, plus unbeatable prices on Tempur-Pedic, plus free next-day delivery, plus 60-month interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic with approved credit, plus a $300 MasterCard gift card with your Tempur-Pedic mattress. Maybe we should change our name to Hasseless Plus. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasseless.com.
Cheese doodles, Mr. Nougat Bar. Oh, here we go. 4-door hatchback.
Some things are fine to buy from a vending machine, but a car is not one of them. The national online company makes it seem convenient, but it won't be so convenient if you have a problem with the vehicle you buy. And if it's after 7 days, good luck. Adam member dealers also let you search online, plus test drive the vehicle before you buy it. And they're right here to handle any issues.
What? The car's stuck. No!
Start your search at adam.com.
At Hazelden Betty Ford, treating mental health isn't just about breaking old patterns. It's about braving new ones. As the leader in alcohol and drug treatment for 75 years, we know caring for addiction, anxiety, depression, and trauma goes hand in hand. We're here for you with new tools when life breaks down. Discover your path to better mental health at hazeldenbettyford.org/Wisconsin. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation.
Enjoy life at Capri Communities, where senior living's our expertise. Caring staff that help you when you need. Enjoy life at Capri, making friends and memories. Living life to the fullest, you will love your new home. Enjoy life at Capri Communities.
You know the voice.
Fly ball, right field, out of here!
You know the iconic calls.
Fly ball, deep right! Back to back!
And you know he's our Brewers 360 guest on Wisconsin's Morning News. Every Wednesday at 8:45, it's Brewers broadcaster Jeff Levering. Brewers 360 is sponsored by Outdoor Living Unlimited and Big Fish Contracting.
Tuesday on Point Taken. Thanks for finding us, by the way. And if you missed any or all of our conversations, we had some good ones this morning, right?
Great
Missy
conversations.
Hughes,
Jim Santel.
Our conversation about the Middle East. Quick conversation before we get to the bottom here. And we got a really interesting one. Sports and politics, sort of, on that Ryder Cup thing was nuts.
So I wasn't watching it real time. My dad was watching a lot over the weekend, but I've only been reading the recaps of America didn't have its best showing as far as the crowds went.
And I'm going to make a political point.
Did you go to the Ryder Cup when it was here?
No.
All right, we'll talk more about that after the break.
Our crew here did, though. I think
did.
Vince was there. You were there.
I went there for a little bit.
Yeah, so I think Matzik was there. I went to the PGA at Whistling Straits, not the first one. I love golf. And not that we're going to talk about the shutdown. We can do that at some point.
Well, we can certainly talk about the shutdown tomorrow when we know whether or not it's going to happen.
After, midnight tonight? Because my take is I think it's going to happen.
I think it's going to happen, too.
I just watched this, and we're going to bleed this into the next half hour as well. I was embarrassed for our country. And I'm going to make a bigger point on this after the break. We are in this moment where boorish behavior, language, treatment of others, no respect, say whatever you want, get it off your chest, social media or otherwise. In a bar or a restaurant, people are acting and behaving like fools. On airplanes, they do. Are we surprised by any of this? We encourage this sort of conversation, to air quote conversation. We do it in every form and fashion of our language.
Right, don't blow your load now. You have a whole
I know,
segment to get
but
through
it's
after
like,
the
geez, this is so irritating. And I'll make a bigger point. Some of the media in this town and other places are responsible for this as well. You've contributed to this because you've demonized people who think differently than you do. And now we've demonized, apparently, golfers who are from a different part of the world than we are, and we have to treat them with lack of respect, horrible language, tossing a beer at one of the players' wives? Really? That's what we're going to do at a golfing event? And I gave Jazz a clip, I don't know if she still has it, where Roy McIlroy is commenting on, and I think he nails it, on this is not what we do in golf. And golf has always had that higher standard, right? A little more
Well, that's
fancy.
The whole point. This is what, I mean, we'll talk more about it after the break, but like the whole thing with the Ryder Cup is that the tournament itself is different than and then that was the point when I got there, when I saw it, what was that, 2 years ago? 2022?
Yeah, it's always 2 years. Yeah.
And so...
well, that'd be 4 years ago. Yeah, because it alternates back and forth.
Whenever it was here in Wisconsin. People are in costumes, and it is kind of, there's like a bigger element of it, of a Europe versus USA thing, and it's a little rowdier than most golf tournaments. And so I was not unaware of that until I got to see it firsthand. But this seems to have been taken to a different level. Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, I watched the Ryder Cup when it was here at last time, and there wasn't that kind of activity. So, and don't give me the East Coast thing. I'm so sick of that. Oh, that's just how they act on the East Coast. Really? Then you should clean up your act because you're acting like idiots. All right, we got local news coming up here. And then, of course, the latest now from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Government agencies preparing for a shutdown with just hours to go before federal funding runs out. House and Senate lawmakers could still come up with a last-minute compromise. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more.
The Senate is expected to vote possibly more than once on the House-passed bill that would avert a shutdown, funding agencies through November 21st. Democrats are expected to block it. If the standoff continues, the first shutdown in nearly 7 years would begin at midnight. Much of the federal bureaucracy would grind to a halt. Hundreds of thousands of civilians would be furloughed, and federal employees who must still report for work wouldn't be paid until a shutdown ends.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. Secretary Pete Hegseth laying out a new direction, he says, for the military at a gathering of high-ranking leaders in Virginia. It includes new physical and grooming standards. In the central Philippines, a strong earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 6.7 rattling the region, sending people into the streets and also knocking out power. Some reports of damage. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 11:31. I'm Tiff Pua. One person is critically injured after a shooting in Glendale. Officers responded Monday night to the area of Shasta and Custer. Glendale police say a woman was shot and taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Police say it appears to be a targeted incident and the investigation is ongoing. A man is in custody after allegedly threatening to blow up the Wisconsin Capitol building. Madison police made the arrest September 22nd after a man called 911 and threatened to blow up the Capitol building. When police arrived near University and Breeze, he continued to state he wanted to blow up the building and was then arrested for making terrorist threats and a parole violation. The suspect has not been formally charged but is currently in the Dane County Jail. And the October 1st deadline is fast approaching to prevent Ascension, Wisconsin from being dropped by United Healthcare. Negotiations are ongoing over a contract. An Ascension, Wisconsin spokesperson tells WTMJ they are ready to sign a fair contract, but, quote, we cannot and will not accept terms that we believe threaten the quality and sustainability of care in our community, end quote. UHC claims Ascension, Wisconsin is demanding unsustainable price hikes that would increase healthcare costs. If a deal isn't reached, Ascension, Wisconsin hospitals and doctors will become out of network for United Healthcare members. Time for news about your money. Here's your WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything's still in the red on the boards. Your Dow is down 29 points to 46,286. The S&P 500 is down 1 point to 6,659. And the NASDAQ is down 17 points to 22,573. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at your roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. Couple of incidents to report. Wisconsin 59 in Waukesha County near Eagle is closed in both directions at Piper Road because of a utility emergency. Now, there's no good way around there, so side roads may be your best bet, but Wisconsin 59 at Piper closed in both directions. And also, the ramp from 43 North to 794 East is currently closed because of road work until 2 o'clock. So you'll see the emergency vehicles out there. They do have really good signage. You want to go around them. That's 43 North to 794 East. You will want to avoid that area. Stay safe out there, everyone. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast today. Mostly sunny and beautiful with a high of 82. For tonight, a few clouds coming in with a low of 56. For Wednesday, partly cloudy with a high of 77. Thursday, mostly sunny with a high of 82. And then it stays nice and warm and sunny for your Friday, a high of 87. And for Saturday, a high of 86. Right now in Delavan, it's 78. In Dundee, it's 76. And in Milwaukee, it's partly cloudy and 73 degrees. I'm Tiff Pua. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 11:34.
Since 1946, Ansay & Associates has provided insurance to help secure businesses and families throughout Wisconsin. With custom coverage and superior customer service, Ansay & Associates can provide all of your insurance needs. Visit ansay.com today and get a free consultation with one of our strategists. Or come see us in person at any of our local offices. Ansay & Associates, securing and protecting your American dream.
For over a century, local radio has evolved with the needs of the community. From politics to pop culture, we keep you informed, bringing you the most relevant news, online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text radio to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Don't think twice. Call Dice.
A great way to add value and curb appeal to your home is with a new LiftMaster or CHI maintenance-free garage door. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. A study by Remodelers Magazine reports that the average return on investment is an amazing 82%. Garage doors rank first among all home improvement projects. To see Geiss's huge selection of doors, visit their showroom in Brookfield, or you can also visit their online showroom at geissdoors.com. Geiss has everything from alley doors to custom wood designer doors and everything in between. Remember, for all your garage door needs, you call Geiss at 262-784-4250. That number again, 262-784-4250. It's Geiss. Visit them online at geissdoors.com.
Don't think twice. Call Dice.
That bunker's looking tasty. Guys, shut the up.
That was the embarrassing conduct of fans attending the Ryder Cup, Bethpage, New York. It just
were you watching it over the weekend?
Yeah, I watched a bunch of it.
Was it featured?
Heavily
on?
It was talked about. Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, and then I watched some of the coverage by other, Golf Network and Golf Channel, all that stuff, and they were disgusted.
So
were
people just not getting kicked out?
That I don't know. I don't know what the consequences for bad
Because it feels like
behavior.
one of those things. As soon as you start throwing beer at any sporting event or any event, period, it's like, well, all right, now security's coming and you will be escorted out.
Yeah, it's just, and you made the point earlier, and I agree that Ryder Cups are different, right? They almost encourage that excessive fandom because you're cheering for the USA, you're cheering for the European team. I get it.
It's like the earlier this year when instead of the All-Star Weekend for the NHL, they did Canada versus the US, and there was a fun rivalry that happened between the two countries, even though all these guys play together, right? They're all on like NHL teams together and they're teammates, but for that game, or I guess it was 3 games?
I think
overall?
so, yeah.
And for those games, they were representing their country. And I think for these guys who are all on tour together, they all know each other, but for this tournament, it is Europe versus the U.S. And so there is a fun rivalry that is supposed to, and competition that's supposed to come from that leads to looser etiquette that it seems like most tournaments have.
Yeah, and I'm admitting, and I'll admit right now that the players, the professionals who play, they're also a lot more amped up than they used to be. It used to be very dignified response to making a putt. Now it's like, they're pumping their fist and doing all the, Tiger Woods sort of brought that on. But that's just healthy sports professionalism, just showing their emotion. But they don't throw punches at each other. They don't throw beers at their other team's wives or girlfriends or partners. And to watch that unfold at what I think is one of the most incredible events in golf, which it is, and everybody wants to host it, it's just embarrassing to me as someone who talks a lot about civility and how we should act. And I do believe it's an analogy to what ails us. It's this idea that we can do whatever. You can do whatever the hell you want now at a sporting event. You can beat somebody up at a sporting event. You can throw stuff at the team as they come out. You can yell obscenities. I just think this is not what most people want to see at events, public events. But it's sort of a bleed over from how we treat each other in real life, whether that's on social media, whether that's at a restaurant where somebody's wearing a Trump hat and you don't like that, and you start arguing about that stuff, or T-shirts. For the most part, people can wear what they want. But it does sort of highlight this conflict environment we have now, where you don't start with, hey, there's my buddy, here, there's somebody I don't know, let's meet them, let's get along with them. It's like, why does that person irritate me? How can I fight with them?
Well, and it's interesting because Dan Bice yesterday was bringing this up as far as the experience of the Steelers and the Vikings playing. Which country are they playing in on Sunday morning?
Ireland.
So they were in Ireland. And I was lucky enough to go to Brazil last year. And one of my big takeaways when I got to go to Brazil last year, and we were playing the Eagles. Eagles fans, not, necessarily known for being the nicest, or they're certainly not like Packers fans.
No.
But the experience of being Americans watching football in a different country, we were staying at the same hotel as a lot of other Eagles fans, and there was a fun banter because we were playing each other, but there was also camaraderie because we were Americans in a different place. And so I think that there's sometimes sports that fun competition is supposed to be there, but the idea of being in a different place can bring us together. But it just seems like that totally fell apart here. And I don't know, was it also European fans? Was it all American fans that were just acting like this?
I think it was pretty much American fans. Here's Rory actually commenting then after a question.
No, this should not be what is acceptable in the Ryder Cup. But, we will be making sure to say to our fans in Ireland in 2027 that, what happened here this week is not acceptable. And it's, for me, it's, come and support your home team. Come and support your team. I think if I was an American, I would be annoyed that I didn't hear a lot of shouts for Scotty today, but I heard a lot of shouts against me.
And that's
instead of cheering for Scotty, they were cheering against Rory.
That is exactly consistent with how people act now. You're not cheering for anything. You're cheering for bad news.
You're cheering to own the libs.
Yeah.
In a certain sect.
To use a political example, yes. And we've allowed that sort of, mind think, if it's thinking, lack of mind think maybe, to sort of be the standard now how people act with each other.
Do you think it's just a gross feeling of inadequacy, and so the need to have those glimpses of feeling superior, and just chasing that dopamine rush of feeling like, I won, I'm better than you? Is that where this comes from?
Everything is a sport, including politics, including whatever. It's all played as a sport. So this is how we act now for everything. Politics, golf, entertainment, you name it, sporting events. It's just how we act now. We act like idiots. Not everybody, but the ones that are actually engaging and doing these things are ruining the experience for everybody. This is actually funny. Jim said Trump should send the National Guard to the Ryder Cup. There's a lot of people, by the way, I didn't bring this point up. This was talked about, that Trump going to the Ryder Cup sort of instigated this stuff. The way he acts, the way he talks. Hard to argue, right?
So you're someone who has a lot of friends on the spectrum, the political spectrum.
Yeah, all over the spectrum.
Do you feel like there is a big difference in your friends who identify as being MAGA and how they act publicly than people, other side, Republicans, people who think they're Democrats? Is that something you notice that is a trait of that, or is it something that you're seeing across the board?
I'm not a litmus test, but most of my friends and family who are MAGA or Trump supporters, they don't talk about it a lot.
Okay.
They don't engage. And they certainly wouldn't do this because they have common decency and they know how to act in public. Again, I'm not indicting someone because they support...
So do you think this is political? I mean, not political. They weren't protesting anything, but what do you... Because I think people are now trying to figure out, is this a sign of the times?
Yes.
And is it because of politics?
Politics is sort of an enabler. So they see this conduct in politics and campaigns and talk radio and talk TV now, and they say, oh, that's how we're supposed to act. Where you have to criticize someone because they represent a different party because or
a different country.
Yeah, let's carry it on.
Team.
Or they look differently, or they pray differently. We have to hate them now. So that's sort of like the logical, for them. It's illogical, of course, but that's the connection they make. Because this president, this party says this, therefore I must do this also.
So it's just extreme tribalism.
Yeah, which is ruining this country. You may think it's making it better. It's ruining this country.
Because I think about, do we have to go to break?
Yes.
All right.
We're way
I'll
late.
set this up.
All right.
Because what is the end game? When we talk about the fact that there is certain rhetoric, I think specifically coming from, let's say, influencers on the right, so like the Megyn Kellys and stuff of the world, like they have the presidency, they have the Senate, they being Republicans, they have the House. So you have all the power right now, but there is still this conversation around ending your enemies and not tolerating your enemies. And so it's like, what is the end goal? Is it for anyone who votes for Democrats to leave the country, to not have a job? Like, what is the goal when you talk that way?
That's a very large question. I'll do my best to answer
think
it
about
after
it at
the break.
And if you have thoughts at home, 855-616-1620. This is Point Taken.
We all have someone we know or love that has been affected by some form of cancer.
No matter how well you love and support them and try to be there for them, you can never really know what a person is feeling after hearing the words, "You have breast cancer."
Only another person that has been through this experience can really understand what it feels like.
ABCD, After Breast Cancer Diagnosis, is a Milwaukee-based organization known around the world.
When someone calls ABCD, they are matched with a mentor who is a breast cancer survivor of similar age and has the same type of breast cancer who can provide hope when people need it the most.
Kessler's is excited to announce that we've designed 3 new Hope pendants to honor breast cancer patients, survivors, thrivers, and caregivers.
100% of the net proceeds, along with an additional donation from Kessler's, will support ABCD when you purchase the symbol of hope.
You can find a link with more information about ABCD, along with all 3 modern designs starting at just $75 in sterling silver and $598 in gold, online at KesslersDiamonds.com.
The Census Bureau says more than 12,000 Americans turn 65 each day. It's a surge they call Peak 65, the highest number in history. Some Annex clients retire early. Some keep working because they love it. You know why? Because they've got custom plans built by fee-only fiduciaries. They identified their wants and needs, and we went to work. We want to do the same for you. Annex does financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Visit AnnexWealth.com and click the Get Started button.
When I shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, every time I come in, it's like a whole new store. It's because new inventory is arriving daily, all kinds of everything. And let me tell you, thrift store prices make buying easy. And helping others at the same time, that's icing on the cake. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
In 1964, we were making strides towards space travel.
Mary Poppins was the #1 movie in theaters.
And the Beatles were taking America by storm.
Which was long before I was born.
Facts. 1964 is also the year it all started for Richland's Tire and Service Centers. 60 years of continuous growth and more happy customers than you can shake a stick at.
Okay, the streamers are a bit overkill. It's just us in the studio.
All right. But it's important to know accomplishments like these aren't possible without a dedicated team. So hats off to them and our founder, my dad, Dick Mitchke, for understanding the importance of customer focus.
Facts. There's no 60 years of anything without you, the customer, which is why our focus will remain on you and only you for years to come.
Thank you from all of us here at Richland's Tire and Service Centers.
Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
Hey, Ripon, big news! Tyson's is opening this fall. Shop trusted brand names for home, farm, auto, pet, tools, and home improvement all in one place. And count on personal customer first service every time you walk in. Check us out at Tysons.com.
Yeah, we got another break to take. We're talking.
So you're not going to be able to answer my big existential question in 4 minutes?
I'll do my best to answer it.
So how do we even frame this? It's been happening for a while, but it certainly feels in the last couple of weeks, the gasoline has been poured on the divisive partisan rhetoric. And this started with the conversation about Ryder Cup, which may or may not be associated or correlated, but
I'm making the correlation.
But it does just feel like the anger and the tribalism and the need to win and defeat the other side is just permeating everything right now. And when I think of some of the conversations since Charlie Kirk has been killed that are happening from Megyn Kelly, J.D. Vance, when we talk about the political opposition that needs to be defeated. And it's like, you guys have all the power. The Republicans have all the power right now. And the conservative movement, I would say, is very strong right now. But what does that mean to just not to defeat the other side? Does it mean like they leave the country, that you want none of them to have jobs? Like, what does it actually mean when you talk like that of what does winning look like?
It's sort of self-perpetuating, right? So they always need something to talk about. And so the Warren Libs, if you're talking about that part of this, it makes for good radio. People love to listen to it. Certainly it's demonstrated because those stations do well, and those TV stations.
Just grievances all the time.
Just constant whining about politics. To answer the bigger question, it's to control all policy. Everything that Democrats...
Okay, but at the national level, they're doing that right now.
For the most part. There's still some checks.
They control everything beyond the 7 Democrats who may be able to be blamed for having the shutdown happen.
Yeah,
but for the most part, they're in power.
And that's not even good enough for them now. Now they're trying to scheme for ways to sort of cheat the electorate out of an accurate, fair election in 2026 by stacking the deck against Democrats in the House, right? So it's cheating the system. It's this desire to win. And when you participate in politics, play it as a sport, that's what you get. There's no rules. You can just cheat. I mean, what do I know about the population? We sort of excuse bad behavior now, right? Oh, that's just, give them another chance, give them another chance, give them another chance. Even criminal behavior. Oh, 29 times they were arrested. Let's give them one more chance. That's sort of a slim number of people in that universe, but it happens. We seem to be forgiving and allowing this bad behavior to just self-perpetuate. I'm not a big fan of how people act now. I say it all the time on the radio, and people go, why are you so worried about it? Because this is what you get, going back to our original conversation. People acting the fool. They do it at sporting events all the time. I see it at, of all places, Lambeau Field, people acting like idiots when I sit in the stands, which is not that often anymore outside. I see people are drunk. Alcohol is a part of this. But when you try to win at all costs, don't be surprised when win at all costs means you will literally use all costs. There'll be no rules. And that's what we're seeing in politics. By a president, this is where the not being a big fan comes in, who will cheat his way to a victory in any way possible. Some people on my side have excused January 6th. They don't like to talk about it because it's awkward and it makes them feel bad. I saw what happened. Most reasonable, rational people saw what happened, but that's like, don't talk about that. Beating up on police officers is hard to justify when you're have a back the badge sign in your front yard. But yet you want to forget about January 6th. How does that, reconcile? It's sort of the absence of logic in some...
It's cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, it's silly. It's stupid. And when you defend the absurd, you become absurd yourself. And this is maddening to me. And I'm going to continue to talk about it. I could care less if people think this is not good conversation. It's the one conversation we should be having. How we treat each other, how we act toward each other, and how we treat each other in the realm of politics. It's sick. And I have really smart people that I respect saying really dumb things in defense of a party or a candidate or an elected official. And when I see that, it makes me personally sick. It's the era of stupidity, a conversation we're going to have on our podcast, because this is what we need to be talking about. We're getting dumber, not smarter. Quick break.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
You know when that big online store has special days with ridiculously low prices?
Yeah.
Why doesn't Hasselus Mattress do that?
We do.
You do? When?
Every day.
Okay, good one. But really, when are the big discounts?
Like I said, every day. You know our showrooms are employee-free.
So I can give your mattresses a try.
With no pushy sales guy.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that allows us to sell Sealy Posturepedic, Beautyrest, and more for way less.
Give me numbers.
Our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Free next day delivery, too.
And you do this every day?
Yeah. Plus, through Monday, get a free box spring with every Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, and more, or take an equal amount off an adjustable base.
Wow.
So I guess you could say now is a prime time to buy.
I see what you did there.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at Hasselist.com.
Does your bathroom belong in a haunted house?
Or maybe it's just time for a refresh.
WTMJ and Sidex are back with the Beautiful Bathroom Contest.
One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to $10,000. It's easy. Snap a pic of your scary shower, terrifying tub, or even just one you're tired of. And enter now at WTMJ.com.
Sidex makes it easy to go from fright to fabulous.
Something exciting is happening at St. Kate the Arts Hotel. On the second floor, you'll find the Studio Kitchen and Cocktails, Milwaukee's destination for bold flavors, fresh sushi, seasonal entrees, and cocktails crafted with care. Start your day with a breakfast that fuels you, stop in for dinner that sparks conversation, or linger late into the evening with drinks designed to inspire. With flavors and drinks for every mood, the Studio is the perfect place to gather, celebrate, and connect. Be boldly social. The Studio Kitchen and Cocktails, now on the second floor at St. Kate the Arts Hotel.
Staying active, essential for overall health. Proper medical support, essential for staying active. WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Whether it's keeping a weekend warrior like me on the tennis court or keeping young athletes in the game, you want the best in sports medicine, that's OAW. Surgeons, nurses, and physical therapists help you recover from injury, avoid injury in the future, and enhance performance. Get care 7 days a week. Walk right in at an Ortho ASAP clinic or book an appointment online at orthowisconsin.com.
Get your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to buy at ACCUNET.com. Tune in to Wisconsin's Midday News with Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
Bird flu has been detected in a commercial poultry flock in Jefferson County. Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection says it's working with the USDA animal health officials.
Bringing you the latest in news, sports, traffic, and weather.
A public health alert was just issued in Dane County due to a spike in drug overdoses.
Every weekday from noon until 3 p.m. Only on WTMJ. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
All right. Well, we get to go record 2 podcasts after this, so we just warmed up today.
This is a day where I could use another hour. Hashtag more Steve and Kristin.
You think we got anywhere?
I think so. I mean, looking at the text line, we have a lot of support there. I'm gonna keep talking about January 6th. I could give a you-know-what that some Republicans who frankly should know better don't like when I talk about January 6th. Grow up. We saw what happened. How do I know it was bad? Because every Republican on that day said it was bad, including the Lindsey Grahams and the Mike Johnsons.
Mike Gallagher.
They all said it was bad. Ted Cruz. And they all flipped, which is something that most people get upset at when politicians flip, but not on that one for some strange, odd reason.
All right, tomorrow.
Josh Shulman joining us, Republican candidate for governor.
It's been a minute since we talked to him when he first announced his candidacy, so he'll be back. We'll hear how the campaign trail is treating him and ask us anything.
And a whole lot more.
Because what is tomorrow?
Hump Day.
Yeah.
All right, lots more coming up. News is next.
The people have spoken, and the results are undeniable. Ridgetop Exteriors delivers. We swept the People's Choice Awards. Best roofing, best siding, best windows, and best overall home improvement company. That's not just winning, that's setting the standard with expert craftsmanship, top materials, and service that keeps homeowners coming back. 4 categories, 4 wins, 1 name. Ridgetop Exteriors, your only choice for home exteriors. Visit ridgetopexteriors.com and experience the difference today.
Ridgetop Exteriors.
Ben, why are you wearing a lab coat?
I'm conducting a highly sensitive experiment, Arvid.
Here, at Penny Mustard.
Obviously, Nicole.
What's going on?
We've seen a significant uptick in the number of gasping customers.
Gasping?
I've isolated the gasping to this 12-foot radius.
Well, of course. This is where we display the Joni sofa.
Now that's a gasp-worthy sofa.
The Joni sofa's sophisticrafted fortress frame construction makes it as strong as a tank.
When you pair it with our high-quality foam and hundreds of fabric and leather options, you get an incredibly durable, yet surprisingly supple sofa.
Was that you?
Oh no, it's contagious.
Come see the Joni sofa, American-made with Fortress hardwood frame, ultra-high-density cushions, and hundreds of fabric and leather options, starting at $19.13 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishings.
If you need a place for new home interior ideas, then you have to come talk to us. Our on-staff decorators know furniture, home decor,